And then as a millennial culture, we're the products of parents. Like my parents were the first in their families to go to college.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're like the products of survivors. So then it's like, I feel like inherently you're going to have their instinct that I feel like they impress on you. I feel like inherently you're going to have this idea.
I disagree. I
Why?
feel like because
You got it sitting on, matching what I'm sipping on. Hope none of my feelings wrong. You the only one I'm wanting when I'm feeling grown. Me is what I put it on. Yeah.
Hello, people. I'm your host, Kirsten, and welcome to The Kitchen. Here we are a podcast where the topics are spicy, the main dishes are context and perspective, and the key ingredient is intention. We're not here to discuss food for the stomach, but food for the mind. Before we dive in today's recipe, I want to take a second to introduce some of the chefs in the kitchen. To my left, I have Sydney and Montez. To my right, we have Victoria and Evan. Thanks for being here. You guys excited?
yeah.
Of course.
Y'all about dry as hell.
Can't wait to cook it.
All right, so I'm gonna start today off with the icebreaker, and the icebreaker is gonna let y'all know what we're talking about.
Oh my God.
So we'll start with the ladies, and then the gentleman can answer after. What is your relationship status?
You want to go or
It's
should I?
complicated.
Ooh, okay. Victoria?
I am the fuck single.
Okay, it's the fuck for me. Evan?
I'm in a relationship.
Okay.
And
information?
I'm not looking, I'm dating myself.
So is that single?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so just for context, I think I'll resonate with Sydney and say it's a little complicated. So we're going to talk about, obviously, dating within the Black community, dating as Black millennials, and just how our experiences might infiltrate our dating lives. So I want to start by discussing your background as far as relationships go. How would you classify a healthy relationship? Were they modeled for you? What did some of those things look like? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll start. It's a topic I actually really like to talk about, and I've had this conversation with my parents, right?
Oh.
So, growing up, I just didn't see healthy relationships, right? And like mainly from my father,
Okay.
and I think that really impacted me, really like up until like last year. You know what
Wow,
I'm saying?
okay.
And I got a lot of clarity because I was like, why am I this way? Why am I like this? Why can't I commit? You know, or whatever the case may be. And my mother will always tell me, like, you're just like your father. But I never really knew what that meant.
Okay.
And she always gave me that space to, like, whenever you're ready to have that conversation with him, then do that.
Oh, okay. So she told you to have it with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope, because I feel like a lot of times you find yourself having that conversation with her.
Or your damn self.
Yeah, where you see things and you kind of make your own, I guess, assumptions or whatever of what the situation was. So when you talk to him, what was it
Yeah,
like?
I mean, he just was, just to, I guess, get personal a little bit, he just kind of went from woman to woman, you know, and just didn't commit, you know, and there were some reasons why, because of what he saw as well growing up.
Okay.
And it kind of just trickled down, and that's something like I don't want my son to go through that. You know, I want to be very clear, like, what a good relationship looks like. And if he can't see that, I want to be able to break that down to him. So, that's.
Hey, can I ask, I guess, I see a lot of my homeboys do the same thing, I guess. So when it goes from woman to woman, I guess, what was he looking for? Like, did you ask that? Like,
Yeah.
was he looking for stability? Was he looking for himself? Or did he feel like that was the way he expressed his masculinity?
That's the big question.
Because certain people think that being hypersexual is being a man, but I'm not
No, I'm
defaming or like pretty much nitpicking or anything like that.
No, I mean, a lot of it had to do with companionship, one, and then just like not wanting to be alone. You know,
Sure.
just the fear of like being by yourself. You know, that had a lot to do with it, and it was interesting. I mean, it was a pretty deep conversation because we don't talk all the time. So I really was like, yo, I gotta talk to you about something. Because I was just going through it. Like you go through your ups and downs, highs and lows, and then you want answers,
Right.
Like from your parents, and because you're like not a kid anymore,
Right.
So
Question for you. Have you been able to identify with those abandonment issues? And have you related those to your experience in bouncing from
I
woman to
don't
woman?
understand what you're asking.
So you said that your dad, he identified bouncing from woman to woman with, you know, he identified that with being fear of being alone.
Right.
So do you resonate with that, and do you identify that or link that to your lack of commitment issues?
I don't think so. I realized, like he's my blood, but you know, I'm my own person at the end of the day. And now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking, and I don't know if I have an answer to that right now.
Okay.
Especially like what that does for me exactly. I don't know. I didn't want to do what everybody else did. So I know a lot of people get in relationships and just didn't want to force it. You know? And I was big on like the next relationship I get in is the last relationship I want to be in.
Oh, so this the one we get the wedding invite to. Pretty
One
much,
and
is
done.
what you
Well,
said.
actually, I'm not. I don't really want to get married though.
Oh, so you want like a
Life
life partner
partner.
situation,
Yes.
and she wants a life partner
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
Like a
Oh, so
Will
it's
and
like
Jada?
perfect.
It's cool.
It's cool.
But I guess so. Why? I guess my biggest thing, maybe I'm really traditional. Let me like the earth sign in me. But like, why not give that person that satisfaction of knowing that you are? I can be literally intertwined. We can intermesh. Like we're a union.
I mean, it's not like she wants to get married and I
Gotcha.
don't. It's like we are. I mean, it's a lot of different things. I mean, financially, you know, if that doesn't work out and you split, like you see a lot of people that stay together for years and years and years just because they're married.
Right.
Just because you literally can't get divorced like after 15, 20 years. It just really, people do it, but it's just
messy.
not.
Your
It's
lives are
hectic,
so
it's expensive.
integrated.
Yeah,
Your accounts and just everything.
Kids and-
you
yeah.
know, and
But honestly though, as you say that and you have all these fit, well, like you're saying when you're projecting fit, okay.
But okay,
Honestly-
so then my question to you would be, and this kind of goes back to the original question of what was modeled and what you deem healthy. Do you feel like anything in your background lends itself to you having this overall inclination that marriage is like the key?
Yes, I guess outside of TV and things that you see from the black community, I guess I model my aunt and uncle because pretty much my aunt told me, she was like, we want to make it work. I came from a family that was married, like my grandfather and my grandmother were married, so that's the dynamic she modeled. And she said that she commends my grandmother because she taught her marriage. She taught her how to hold down the household. She taught her, my grandfather taught, like, you know, the wife stays at home and he was in the military and he did things like that, so he was the provider. And my grandmother took care of the expenses and things like that. And honestly, I wouldn't mind that. Like, I honestly would relinquish control. And I am not that kind of person. I'm a control freak, but for the right person, I wouldn't mind doing that. So even if it was a messy divorce and it cost uber amounts of money, I wouldn't mind it because at the end of the day, I'm paying for my peace. And I learned when it came from moving out, you will pay for your mental health or you will pay your peace. And rent, I don't give a fuck how much it costs. I'm paying for my peace at any given time.
That's true. Okay, so then I think we can bring it into a space of like adding more context. So for us all being Black, us all being millennials, obviously those are both hats that we're wearing as we date. So do you feel like one is a hat that you wear more often than the other? Do you feel like your experience as a Black person influences the way you date? Do you feel like the age, you're being a millennial influences the way you date? Like, Sydney, what do you think?
I think both. So like I love the whole little 90s sitcom thing we got going on with our streaming services. And they let us kind of see how different dating was back then. Like you really had to pick up the phone. You really had to see the person and spend time. Like you really had to trust because you couldn't check social media. But I think people were also less distracted because there wasn't social media. Not to say that there still wasn't some, you know, bullshit going around. It just looked differently. It feels like the frequency was not as high. Like, I don't know. I wish I could just go back and date in like 93.
I can definitely speak to that because I think my parents are traditionalists and they definitely modeled or like aspired to model like the Huxtable household type thing. And I always tell people like I describe to them like that's how I grew up was like Huxtable style. 2-parent household, like my parents are very conventionally successful. They put me in a situation educationally where I was set up to excel, succeed, excel, both of those. So I think that, you know, in terms of being Black, I would like to model that structure of having a 2-parent household. But I think that in terms of being millennial, just to tag off your point, like there's so many things that my mom was my age, 24, when she got married. And like, there's
See,
no comparison.
We're still on Tinder.
There's no, right, not
I ain't
Tinder.
never been on Tinder.
Never Tinder.
Whatever.
But like, there's no comparison in terms of where she was at, in terms of her career and, you know, leaving college debt free and
Right.
not navigating social media versus me now. In the,
Opposite.
as I said, the fuck single. So
I don't know, because I feel like for me, and I don't know, maybe this is just like the way that I think. I've never really clicked with someone that was my own age anyway. So I never really think in terms of my age and in terms of this space of being a millennial, because I think it's like, maybe I think about it, but it's like so just like natural at this point that like I just assume that the ways in which I'm gonna date are gonna have to involve some level of technology. So more on like the front side of my brain is like how I date as a Black woman and what that experience is like. Like I have a lot of anxiety like as of late as it relates to interacting with people that aren't Black. I just feel like I don't know how to. I feel like I just feel like there's a disconnect. I feel like going forward in my future, like how I want to structure my family, how I want my kids to grow up, things like that. It's really just rooted in Black and being Black and what that means.
But that's because institutionally we aren't taught that. We don't get to explore that. We don't really learn our history. It's it's independent. It's either your parents teach you, you learn it, or you just don't know it at all and you get embarrassment. Like literally look at Portia Williams. She didn't know what the Underground Railroad was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, but honestly, can you blame her? Because
yes, you can.
Yo, that was embarrassing.
Her grandfather was Hosea Williams. Yes, he was right. Yes,
her
you can.
Grandfather, that was bad.
No, okay. Without that being there, literally, but look at what happens though when you don't teach that and when you don't have an activist. Because even with him being an activist, what it seems like is he was so caught up on himself, he didn't have enough, I guess, time to put into his family where he passed that information along.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's the level of success. How much success do I want to where I'm not a hands-on parent or a hands-on grandparent, aunt, uncle, nephew, whatever it is. So it then comes to that too. I guess I also am craving a family dynamic as well, because you have to be involved in family. Family it takes a village. And honestly, fuck a job, fuck success. If you don't have your family, you don't have your foundation.
Yeah, I kind of agree, kind of disagree.
You said fuck your job, fuck success.
No,
Yeah.
okay. I'm saying is pretty
my
much.
uncle stay in the basement.
I
He's
got
very
you.
family oriented. He don't do nothing. He just with his family.
That's what I was about to say.
And I'm
So
like,
pretty much what I'm saying, okay, I'm sorry. What I'm saying is pretty much if you have your family dynamic, you have your foundation, I feel like everything else will fall into place.
It'll grow
That's
out
it.
from the foundation.
Because
Yeah.
I hate to quote him. Everyone hates Future, but literally Future had this song called Please Tell Me. And it pretty much was saying, please tell me enough won't do. Please tell me that, you require more so I can achieve more. And
We
that's
tell them all the time, and they don't do it. So what is he talking
I
about?
love how, right, I was going to say, I love how Future Hive found their way into this non-problematic conversation about healthy relationships.
We were doing so well.
But that may have been the one thing that he did do, but nobody gave him credit for it. Honestly, I guess.
He doesn't practice what he preach.
But I guess it's better that
He may
he's...
not have paid child support.
He don't pay child support? Look, you about to take us on the wrong
no.
road.
This is not the
We're taking
conversation.
down the wrong road.
But anyway, like I said, back pedaling. Pretty much, if you have your solid foundation, everything else will fall into place. And if you don't have that, nothing else matters.
Okay, so you're saying, so it's both. It's both being Black, being a millennial, but the foundation that you set from both experiences.
And also, I think even being Black, I think we got to figure out what does that mean exactly. Because you have different spectrums. You have poor Black, you have middle class Black, and then you have the unknown, which is the wealthy Black that nobody wants to explore, because we look at the wealthy Black as you think you're better than us. Even middle class and pretty much lower class have that same problem.
Yeah,
And
but I
middle
think
class
that's
thinks
more
that.
like that's not, I
That's
don't
a
think like,
metropolitan thing.
I don't think that that's necessarily us. I think that is this society, like that's how society's structured. Like there's very little room to pull up with you if you're not making a conceited effort. So I feel like it's on both sides. Like society doesn't really lend itself for you to pull up to explore, but at the same time, it's also on whoever is moving up to have that ownership that I do have a responsibility. And that goes back to in your like daily day-to-day, like how are you thinking? I'm a Black person, so I feel like this is my community and I have a responsibility because I have my hat on. Like, and I feel like not everybody thinks that way. But like to go into aspects of society. So I feel like even when I was like kind of thinking about this topic, I think that there's a lot of aspects of society that we bring into our own personal relationships that may or may not make them successful. So one being like this idea of trust issues. So like kind of what I alluded to before, how like...
My trust is fucked.
But like, so your trust is fucked because of your, I guess, like personal experiences. But do you think too, like, I personally have an overall distrust in general, just because
I
like
think
The
that's-
niggas ain't shit.
not even niggas ain't shit. Like it's beyond that. It's off the
not
fact
even-
that like
I don't even trust. Like it's not even with like romantic relationships. Like
right. It's just across the board.
yeah.
I'm just like
It's just something that like, and they say it's so easy to gain somebody's trust, but it's like, well, it's really hard to like get somebody's trust back
once you've lost it.
Once you've lost, but for me, it's hard to even trust somebody in the first place.
Yeah.
And I feel like we give people the benefit of the doubt too much when it comes to trust. Like, well, before you do anything wrong, I still trust you.
Yeah.
And I don't like. How do y'all feel about that? You think that's a thing where?
But you know what's crazy? I had a homeboy tell me this, and he said I couldn't trust anyone in a relationship because I don't trust myself. And I think I was in survival mode for so long, and I not really schemed and scammed, but I maneuvered in ways.
But probably because
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I know I was
schemed and
finessing, so I'm
scammed.
like,
So pretty much, so same person. I would use cursing to get to the job that I wanted, and then once I got to that job, if I didn't sustain a relationship with curse, fuck you. Who's the next person I can get to the job? So it's like I know how I moved in a sense, but it was off a survival instinct.
Exactly.
So now that I'm not in survival mode, I'm sustaining. I have to
Unlearn.
let myself go.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I have to tell the inner child, sit down. You did what you have to do. I'm sorry. it
like
was
you're
like
good,
that.
you're safe.
You're switching from survival to thrive.
But that is our experience, so that's kind of
And
the
I
point
think
I was
I didn't
hitting
trust
on.
myself.
Like, as a culture, we are constantly surviving.
Yeah.
And then as a millennial culture, millennial culture,
Yeah.
we're the products of parents. Like my parents were the first in their families to go to college.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're like the products of survivors. So then it's like I feel like
You got
inherently
their
you're
instinct.
gonna have their instinct, and I feel like they impress on you. I feel like inherently you're gonna have this
I
idea.
disagree. I
Why?
feel like because I
How dare you?
We were doing so well.
I feel like I also I'm like first of all, my parents were in the military. They were correctional officers. I'm a first generation college student, so like my entire existence is very like militant, strict, disciplined, survival mode. Like we didn't have a lot. We try to do the right thing to get. Where
Did
we
you
need
move
to
a lot
be.
as well?
Well, I moved between Baltimore City, Howard County, and then I went to DC, and then I came back to the city. But like my survival mode never included like finessing people or using people. Like I feel like we move the best when we move together. Like so I'm always like down to be honest, supportive, loyal, trustworthy, because that's how I feel like we operate the strongest when it comes. Because I mean, look at our community. A lot of communities that exist now in areas that are definitely in survival mode, they're operating like the way you described. They're not trusting, they're using each other, finessing each other, and they're not doing that well. I feel like if we were able to change the culture of that community where loyalty, trust, support, honesty, and respect were the popular ways of survival mode, we would see a different outcome. So like for me being like the opposite side of what I feel like survival mode requires from me, it's not hard for me to trust someone. If I'm considering a relationship with them, I'm not gonna look at them distrusting because I'm trying to make something work with you. Like for me to even consider a relationship with you, me not trusting you cannot even be in the equation if I'm taking it serious.
No, understood.
But like he was saying, like I feel like people say, I'll trust you until you mess up, and for him, he doesn't see how that's realistic for him.
Yeah.
And for
But I can
me,
resonate
Because I
If
relate
I'm-
with that too.
but if I'm considering a relationship with you, seriously, like maturely making that decision, there's no way that me distrusting you already before we even get together can be a part of the equation.
So then I
That's
guess for
facts.
You
you,
said trusting
That's
or
facts.
distrusting?
No, trusting.
Okay.
Trust
so I guess for you, so is it an aspect, because I think this is kind of what you were hitting on, at least this is what I resonate. It's not that off top, I don't trust you, but I'm like neutral.
Right.
I'm like in the middle, I'm zero. And then as
That's
you
what it
do
is.
certain things,
Right.
I might like
Negative or
inch
positive?
over a little
It
bit.
goes one way or the other.
Yeah.
So it's not
It's like a
distrusting.
pendulum.
Yeah,
a
It's not
blank slate.
distrust,
It's
but I'm
just
also
nothing.
not.
It's just
It's
nothing.
like,
It's a
yeah, I'm
blank
like,
slate.
if you did something at point zero, I'm like charging into the game. Like,
Right.
Like I'm not like, but it's more like I expected it, if that makes sense. Like, not that I don't trust you, but if you do something to break my trust, I'm not surprised by it at point zero, if that makes sense.
Ooh,
And unfortunately,
I agree with that.
You
No.
I
might
agree with that.
no.
I'm charging it to the game.
If you're at zero and you do something, and
Yeah.
like
You
what
show
do
me
you mean? What do
who
you
you
mean
were.
charge to the
So
game?
I'm saying,
though?
like, I'm
I gotta move on from that.
No,
That's
yeah,
what
exactly.
you
That's what I mean by like I'm moving on, but it's no like feelings. Like it's no hurt
It's no
feelings.
hard
Like
feelings.
my feelings aren't hurt. Like damn, I
People will
expected
show
more
who
from
are
you.
with it. show
It's
me
like
who you were,
okay.
and it's up for me to
What if you
accept
really,
it or
what if
not.
So-
you really like them and you still let
You show me who you were.
It's just
for
what
me
it
to
is.
Accept it or not accept
So I
it.
guess my question is, what allows you to move from point 0 to 1 to 3 because
when something happens, maybe it's like a discrepancy, maybe an ex popped up or something. He can't control the ex popping up. He
But how
can
he
control how he responds to
Yeah.
it. So when
Or
I
like
see
more
how you
time.
operate,
so
quality
situations
time.
coming
Yeah,
up,
he might
and
like
you
we
see
might
how
be
he
in
moves.
something and then like
Not only
and-
that,
I
yeah.
feel you.
even the
Yeah,
family
yeah.
dynamic, how are you introduced? How are you portrayed on social media? Are you like, oh,
social media.
That's a great.
Are we on a trip and you only posting that shit with yourself and not with
Not
me?
posting my girl on social media.
No, but give or take though. But that's also a level of
Oh, yeah,
weirdness
social
too.
media.
You on a trip and you won't post that shit with me. That's a little.
I would disagree with that.
But honestly, but why
That
can't
goes
you
back
give
to
enough
the
respect?
conversation of
Why
like-
can't you give enough respect to be like, okay, I'm on a vacation. If it's not a vacation, then what are you really doing?
I mean,
Because
but
that
there's
person-
aspects of my life that I don't, or aspects of everyone's life that you don't post.
No,
like,
understood. And
I have a
like,
job, but I don't post that on Instagram.
Understood. But however,
Yeah.
that could leave. Okay, I feel like everybody here is a dynamic and radiant person. How would you feel if somebody else puts you in the dark?
It's
Is it
but
putting you in the
it's
dark,
not in
though?
the dark. That's for everybody else to
Yeah.
see. Like, if we strong on what we got, like that's, and it goes back to us being like millennials now. Like that, why are we even having that conversation?
No, understood. I
Like
guess
if
I
we
can.
born in the
Because-
if we like you said, if you having a relationship in '93, we're not even having that conversation. Like that's fluff, and like that's
Fluff.
what
Yeah.
I try. That's what I try and like instill that to her. Not to instill it, but like we had a conversation about social media and stuff, and people start checking for you, and they say, "Oh, well, she not on the page anymore," or
It's the
Or making
it's the
making issue,
accessibility.
yeah.
making a some like I don't need people clocking my relationship.
But you know what though? So this kind of brings me to another point that I kind of wanted to discuss is like this idea of suffering and like holding your significant other down. So we kind of like
No.
we kind of alluded, but to me that's what that sounds like.
But guess what,
like
though?
'cause to me it's like in the grand scheme of your relationship, again, like if you're thinking big picture, you're thinking family, you're thinking kids, you're thinking finances, like it's like
No, but
why
I'm
like
saying-
adding in social media to me is kind of like this idea of like suffering. It's like you kind of want to throw wrenches in your own plan, and I feel like as millennials, like we do that with a lot of like the materialistic and like petty shit that we have
Understood.
like at us, like social media, who has what, buying gifts, shit like that. Like to me, those are just like projections of like self-sabotage because these things really don't mean anything. So us putting value into them, it's like
It
you
don't
want your
make
shit
shit
to fail. Yeah,
Really
you're like
don't.
looking
I
for
have
a
a,
reason at that point.
Let's just say in May I got an AMG Benz and I drive my Infinity because that's fluff. Like now I see that doesn't
Wait,
mean
wait,
anything.
go
First of all, do you peep how he just plugged
wait,
both his cars into the materialistic conversation?
It's hypothetical. This is your real
I thought
life.
it was.
No,
It's my real life. It's me.
He wanted y'all to know that.
So no, but okay. Needless to say, but like no, you're right. It doesn't matter, and it is. And I also learned too is that you're setting yourself up for failure. But this goes back to what Evan said. I'm reading this podcast called "You Can Heal Your Life," and what it says is you need to understand your parents and you need to understand how they were reared. No,
Yes.
because if you
For
don't,
sure.
if you don't
100%.
understand your parents, you are pretty much going through life aimlessly. You don't understand the woes, the triggers, and once you understand them, because you have expectations of what your parents should be, but if you understand your parents, there's no expectations. So you can take people for who they are. I would say I don't take people for who they are because I've always had the expectation that my mom could do better,
Okay.
and not even in a way that.
Really?
I think so too.
Okay, so I'll say
Not
this.
not that she was a no,
Okay,
not
I'll
that
say
she was a
this.
bad mom, but that
It's not
for
petty.
me now knowing myself and what I need,
Yeah.
there were lapses. Like
But
she
you
could have
don't
done
know.
X, Y, and Z.
So, right.
No,
Because
exactly.
Because of my lack of understanding.
Did you have the conversation?
I did, but I had a childhood
But
trauma.
but
No,
it's
listen.
not- Okay.
So I had a childhood trauma. I know my mom post that childhood trauma, and I needed my mom to be strong. Like, Mom, you can get through this, because seeing her resiliency would have made me a little more resilient. So as a result, I feel as if my mom pretty much shut down. It was fight or flight, and I feel like she didn't fight it. And my mom was always in her room. So sorry. I have a hard time being in the house now because I don't equate home being as happy, because my childhood trauma affected my mom adversely and she was always at home.
Yeah.
So if I always see, like, you know, the inner child, like, Mom, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do
Yep.
this. Because as a result, if my mom would have loved herself a little more, and result, I would have been loved a little more. And I'm not saying that I wasn't loved, no, but I would have seen the ambitious person. I would have seen the loyal, the survivor that my mom is. Because if you think about it, what happened to me, it could have literally broke her, and it didn't. She just
I have a question. Was there a relationship that she was in romantically that was keeping her there? Because I do feel like in the Black community there is this pressure that
No, my mom literally did
for
not
some
want to
reason,
bring men
like
around me.
succeeding in relationships equates longevity. You know what I mean? And I
Wait,
think
say
I
that
can,
again?
So like succeeding in a relationship is longevity rather than like the actual the health and the inner workings of that relationship. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
My mom also didn't bring men around me. She that was just her vice. She didn't. She thought that was her respecting and loving me by not having men around. And I was thinking, I was like, maybe if we actually had the right man around, he would have showed you how to love me, and he could have been that person for both of us. And that's a lot of expectation to put on somebody. Yes. However, I'm not saying that it can't be done though.
Yeah. And I agree, because I think you and I, because we talk about it all the time, we resonate in the conversations, because you said, did you talk to your mom? We both had conversations with our moms, and I think we both got the same, like, who are you talking to response back. But it wasn't until we got to an age where we started to be like, okay, so I'm like this because this, I'm like this because this, I'm like this because
You gotta do
this.
the
I
shit on your
recognize,
own.
like you
Yeah.
said, my mom did the best that she could do. I recognize and understand the circumstances behind what she was doing and how she was maneuvering. But I just would have liked
But you said
X,
she
Y,
did the
and
best
Z.
that she could do, but then you said she needed to be better. Which one is
No.
it?
No,
I
no,
said-
no, no, no.
I
Not
said-
that
Those things are 100%. If you get a C, you might have did the best you can do, but you could have got an A. You could
Do
have.
y'all feel like y'all?
That's a great. There we go.
But do y'all feel like you
Look,
know
hey,
your
I'm not
parents
putting your
like
head
that?
down. Look.
I don't equate the two.
I don't know, because
But you-
for me,
but
okay,
listen
so
where I'm
here,
coming
for
from.
example,
I didn't have that
so
understanding.
a prime example is, again, my mom, like I said before, was all about survival. So my mom instilled in me how to make money, how to like live, how to sustain life. But my mom was not nurturing. My mom was actually very verbally abusive.
Sure.
So, but the thing is, I'm not mad at her for that, because my grandmother, the exact same way. So that's
what
what I'm
she
saying.
knew.
It's an understanding. Like, I understand, but like, Ma, you did not have to call me a bitch. Like, we could have handled that a different way. Like, those are like the type of conversations.
I
But
mean,
then,
yeah.
but then it still results in okay, but like.
Is that the best you could do?
For her situation and her circumstance, 100%. Like, my mom's situation and success, like, she was very much the underdog in her situation. So she really made like
She-
wine out of water,
I was
water
gonna say,
into
nah,
wine, or
you
whatever
gotta-
the saying
Wait,
is.
wait,
Like,
Look, at the bottom of
And
her neck
on
when
that
she got out
note-
the mud.
she
got out the mud.
she
Not
really
me.
did. So I have like the utmost respect. Like, yeah, she could have.
But on that note, have
Some
like
blind
y'all's parents modeled like seeking help and like seeking therapy for you? Because
Absolutely
I feel like
not.
our
No.
generation
So-
needs that.
I wish.
Yes.
My mom-
Although we
but-
have access to a lot of the tools, like I still feel like we need professional. Like,
So I would say
therapy.
this, right? Yes, my mom did advise me to go to therapy, but my problem became, why the fuck am I going to therapy to deal with other people? Maybe you should go, and that would teach you to be a better person to me.
Wait. So she told you to go to therapy for you.
Pretty much, but how to
And
deal
then
with
you
how
told
her.
her.
Pretty
I mean,
much.
I
It's
get
not any
that,
worse, but
though.
how to deal with her better.
But
Yeah.
wait,
My mom
I get
did. Okay,
that,
my mom did
though.
the same thing. My mom did the same
See?
thing actually.
But I get that though, because like I'm hearing from all of y'all, like we got our tendencies in relationships from our parents.
Yeah.
So like in order for you and your parent to have some sort of like sustainable, like healthy relationship, like they need to kind of take care of that first. Am I wrong? Or like,
No, agree.
No, because I personally feel the opposite. Like, I feel like my situation with my parents is what it is, and me like doing, like, I just have an understanding of who they are. Like, I know my mom, I know my dad at this point, and like me loving them is me accepting them for who they are, and me, it's just like
But is there
fixing,
healing in that?
But it's so the healing for me is not fixing them. The healing for me is like just preparing myself to move forward. So it's not about me going to therapy so that I can communicate with my mom better. I know how my mom communicates. She's not like she's gonna communicate that way.
I feel
That's
the
not
same way.
impactful to me. What's impactful to me is me seeing how that communication broke down, so that way in my future partners, I'm not emulating the same type of communication. Like, I feel like me going back to her, trying to fix that relationship, it's just like it could potentially be like beating a dead horse. It's like my mom's my mom at this point.
right?
Yeah.
They're like 60.
You
like,
putting your head on the brick wall.
it's locked in.
Yeah.
But
She
the
is who she
unfortunate
is.
part is that I don't know if this is good
And she
or
means
bad.
well. That's another thing. If my mom
The
was
intention is
if
there.
my mom was like
Yeah.
a problematic, like she didn't have good intentions, then it would be a different situation. But I know she means well. She just doesn't have the tools, so I'm not gonna keep harping on her.
I get that for sure.
And what I was going to say, I guess moving forward, the problem I have now is I accept new people for who they are. So Victoria say, I just met you. I could accept it for who you are. it is the previous people that I can't move forward from. And even the point we can have an uncomfortable conversation. And honestly, I guess this is where my mom fight or flight comes in, and it's triggered in me, is that I will let that shit go and just be like, okay, well, I'll just move forward to the next person. I will sustain that. That may not be the healthiest, but however, it works for me because honestly, I hate to say it, new people bring something to me. It's like it's an excitement. It's a new way to create and correct maladaptive behaviors and actions that I didn't like in the other person. And like you said, when the trust is gone, say if somebody broke my trust or I know I broke theirs, then honestly, I don't have it in me to repair that with you. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry for how I made you feel.
That's kind of what dating is, though.
That's exactly how I operate currently with my ex and like anybody else that I encounter. Like I accept him for like all the things he did to mess up and the things I did to mess up and the forgiveness and the growth from that. But anybody else new that step up and do some dumb shit,
It's over.
Because you have the context.
you don't have the time.
You have the context, you know the intention, like you have that with that person.
You think you miss out on somebody?
I was just about to say that. Because
Absolutely.
No, you fuck that. That's
I'm
not
weak.
fun. I'm not
Wait,
missing
okay,
out.
hold on. So we got a yes and we got a no.
No.
So what's the no?
The
You
no
don't
is,
think you missed
how
out?
am I missing out? You caused problems at this point in time already. If I cut you out now, I don't have to deal with that because if you was the one for me, you wouldn't have did that in the first place, regardless. No, that's how I feel.
So
I'm
the
sorry.
thing is, I tell myself that in the act, but in all actuality, yes, I miss it.
Pay
yes.
for the mic grab.
I know. So, so I tell myself in the act, and that's how I justify moving on. But I also learned that I can't look to my friends for validations to validate my maladaptive behaviors because they may not also have the healthy relationships as well. And it becomes a
I
trauma
don't know.
bond.
I'm with you. I think you missed
I
out.
think-
No, I do.
And
I do feel like I missed
and
out.
like even
What
even
am I
like,
missing?
Even like the
You really
situation
never
I'm in
know.
now, right? It's kind of crazy because I could have like after like the first situation happened, could have been like, you know what, no, like I'm good off of this situation.
Yeah.
You know, and like I like pushed through. You know, and I'm where I'm at
But
now.
also-
And like that was one of the first times I did that.
Yeah.
Because usually, like you say, you
Just dub it.
That's it. You don't get a second chance when I barely know you. No.
But we're also so young. So this is one of the
Right.
things too. Like
How
I
old,
feel
how
like
old is everybody here?
I'm 25.
24.
23.
Okay, I'm
You?
26.
I was about to say, what are you like 40 or something? Damn.
Yeah,
But no, I feel like we're all so young that we are going to evolve. So like by just dubbing people off top, you don't even give them that chance. That,
We're
like,
so young that I don't have to waste my time if you step wrong so soon. I have so much time to find the person.
But
Okay.
isn't
But
it
that
easy to
goes
be
back to-
wrong if someone don't
Yes,
know you?
that goes back to
Wait,
the
wait,
cancel
wait,
culture.
wait,
So you're
wait,
literally
wait,
canceled. So where's redemption? Where's the rehabilitation? You talked about that last time. So how do you allow that person to pretty much right their wrongs?
She doesn't. Is what she said.
Why? I mean, like either you respect me and you understand what I
You
value,
can be an auntie.
or you don't.
So it's a matter of respect versus disrespect. Like, if
Oh,
that
those
person-
are the issues that
well,
are.
it's different
because
It's-
there's misunderstanding too. You know what I'm
there-
saying? Like,
there- but there
perspective.
is no misunderstanding. If you
there's
didn't
lack of
understand
perspective
that,
and misunderstanding.
there's no
as well.
misunderstanding. If you didn't understand that, then you don't understand me, and then we're not gonna work.
What's your
So
sign?
you want somebody
What's your
to come
sign?
with it.
Sagittarius.
Oh my God!
Wow.
So wait,
All right,
you
wait,
want
hold on.
That's why she
Wait.
moved on. That's why
Let's.
she
Can we reel it back in? Like,
She is Sage. It's over.
I don't-
We can't rebuke that. She won. That's her own separate battle. She is Sage. We gotta let it go.
You lost me that one.
no.
You're a Sage too?
No, no.
Oh, I was about to say no.
What about y'all? What's y'all sounds really back in?
I'm an Aquarius.
Taurus.
Gemini, Aquarius.
Capricorn.
Taurus, Scorpio, Virgo.
Damn, I got the risings in that.
Yeah.
So where are you?
I'm a Libra.
Oh, so you're
Gotcha.
like the
Balance.
neutralizing agent.
Yes.
It's a problem though.
Why is it a problem?
Because you don't pick a side.
Yeah, it's that.
Damn, look, you see how
You're too
you
neutral.
see?
Yeah,
No, he be picking a
Are
side.
you neutral to your own detriment?
Oh my gosh, yes. But it's like it's good and it's bad, but the bad just comes out and you feel it.
But what I'm trying to figure out, what is the bad? I wish I could be neutral.
No.
Very indecisive.
No. Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
there's a clear right and wrong answer.
Yeah, and I just don't.
But is
You
it
give
a
people the
thing where
benefit
you
of the
like know the right and wrong in your head? You just aren't necessarily inclined to verbalize it.
Maybe.
Because I feel like that's what usually like with a lot of neutral people. It's not that they don't know right from wrong. They know. It's just like it's not worth that the
energy.
conflict on either side to say what it is.
And my Capricorn ass, I'm gonna go to battle to tell you that I'm right or was right. I'm gonna go.
You wanna do what
war
everybody
for
else
that
wanna
shit.
I want to do what makes everybody else happy.
Hell no.
So you're a people pleaser.
Oh my bad.
Yes, that sucks.
Yeah, that's not good.
I know, that's what I was saying.
Okay, so
That's not good in the context of like searching for like the right relationship. I feel like
Not
not even
necessarily.
I date a Libra too.
I feel like he would be good.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
depends on your.
yes, but
no,
wanting
it
to find
depends
a
on
committed
your.
relationship.
No, it depends on the personality of who you're dating. That could be a really great situation to be in. Like if you have someone that's like super, I want this the way I want it, and he's very like, okay, whatever, and he's genuinely okay with that,
Genuinely, yeah.
and then like, where's the problem? The problem will come to play if he's saying that to make you happy, and he's not
he's not
genuine
actually, yeah.
in that.
Okay.
But if you're
True.
genuinely
That's
like that, I feel like he'd be the perfect spouse. No wonder he's the only one out here that got a partner.
This is actually my first ever relationship.
You right?
In life.
26 years old.
Okay, but like, what do you mean by relationship? How do you define
Never,
relationship?
Like, can you be my girlfriend? Never did that.
Oh,
Wow.
never. Not even like off the little
Damn,
fake,
she
like
got
in
that bird
elementary. Listen, future. Listen, future. That's strike 2 for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of this future vernacular. I can't.
hey, y'all gave us vodka.
You trying to plug our sponsor real quick? Or plug our brand? But no. Okay, so she's the first.
The first.
Okay,
So
but
is
did
she
she
neutral
come?
as well?
She can't be.
Yes.
She is.
We're Libras. We're
Oh, so
Libras.
do y'all fight?
No.
Not at all.
Libras don't
How
fight.
long has this been
They don't
going
fight.
on? How long? From beginning to where you're at?
I met her in my 10th grade year, high school.
Oh, so you've known
so
her.
yeah.
It was like when I transferred, and like I had a crush on like the first day.
So you didn't start at ground zero.
What you mean?
Like like y'all have been talking about like ground zero, like not having any context.
Well,
with
he
this
did. It was
person,
just the 10th
like-
grade is when his ground zero was.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like in the
think it reset.
like dating.
It reset.
I think so.
Why you think that?
Because we took like a lot of time off. Like she did her thing. I did.
That's
See,
fine. I'm
that's
good for
the
that. I'm good for talking to you.
perspective.
I know, and it was
Fall
cool.
back,
And coming back.
grow a little bit,
Circling
come
back.
back, fall back.
Me and Kirsten are definitely good for that.
We are good for the circle.
The circle back.
But you know what's crazy though? I don't have a lot of male Libra friends because I feel like I need to identify with a pact. Like I need you to be on my side, and then neutrality. It scares me.
You know what? Just give us the dreads and the glasses because you're just giving me all the future vibes right now. You need to be on my side. Why?
That's how I feel too, though.
Why?
Like, everybody else is supposed to when I walk outside that door. You're supposed to be my life partner. You're supposed to be my teammate.
But someone
fuck
can
my
be-
partner, just friend. Fuck.
No, but I'm
If
saying-
I don't know you're my friend. So
Wait,
say
no, I'm
say if
not-
you
I'm not
hated me,
like
right?
that. I'm
He
not like
needs you.
that,
He's
though.
still fucking with you.
No,
I'm like, I
no.
get it.
No,
but it's
First of all, Montez, pause. I'm gonna break this up right now because Montez, you are one of my best friends, and you friends with my enemies, and you know that.
text me.
See, it's the choosiness of the Capricorns over here. It's the choosiness, you know.
No, because once you hold me accountable, I'm like, you know what, Kirsten?
No, you still no. Once
I hate it. My downfall, my lessons. I be it hit me the hardest.
No, once I hold him accountable, he's like, yeah, she gonna be my friend over here, but we can laugh about her over here because you future. We got you. All right, so
But I was in survival mode. I used people for all they was good for.
next topic: interracial relationships.
Interracial relationship.
Interracial
I believe in black love, black power.
Actually, this is interesting because
Oh.
there's this whole new like divest thing I've
How
been
dare
seeing
you.
on Twitter.
I dare you to fire your mom and dad.
Future, can you let her
Say no,
finish?
say no, go ahead.
Have you guys have never heard of the whole divest thing?
No.
It's like this campaign that a select group of women on Twitter are like, I guess, embarking on, where they're like, we are no longer worried about the black man's validation. We're no longer coming to his rescue, supporting him regardless of his treatment of us. We are seeking out men who treat us like, loyalty or whatever we think we deserve, regardless of their race. They like literally like, oh, it could be a white man and a black woman, or an Arab man or Asian man or whatever, with a black woman, like treating her nice. Like they try to put those images forward. Oh, he got her a nice bag, or they took a trip, or they got married, this and that. And I mean, it's somewhat of propaganda, but
It sounds like it.
it sounds like propaganda.
Yeah.
But as someone who is like, darker skin, I think I might have the hardest time as a female dating in this room simply because of my color.
For sure.
And it's hard when you limit yourself, because to me it's never a question. When you ask a black woman what she's into, it's always like gonna be black man. If you ask a black man, sometimes he'll be like, oh, I like all women.
Right.
I don't know. For me, it flipped. When I was younger, I was more open because I was around. We grew up in Howard County, so
Me
my
too.
first boyfriend ever was white. My boyfriend after
But
that
that's
was
before
like,
you had a more mature, developed
yeah,
understanding of the world.
yeah,
And your own identity too. I think
Exactly.
like we can kind of relate to
Growing
that.
up around- yeah,
growing
yeah.
up in like a very like white setting. I definitely grew up like I was one of like maybe 5 black girls And so all my crushes were like white guys.
Right.
That's your
And I had
environment
no
as well.
concept
That's so-
of like how that was abnormal. Because
That's so crazy though, because now I look back and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just can't
like,
even like. So not that I'm anti-interracial relationship. I'm very much for like the non-propaganda side, I guess, of what it is
Yeah.
trying to do. Like just find who
He's gonna treat
find
you
who
the way
wants
you
you,
deserve.
and
Right.
vice versa. I feel like black men and black women should have the same like just whoever wants you, go for that, because
Yeah.
we live in a world where nobody really wants you. So if you can find it, go for it.
But you know what's crazy?
But I cannot.
People want people.
No, I'm not saying in
no.
terms of relation. I'm saying like in the grand scheme of society as a black
Societal
person.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to, I guess, something that may be another topic, but honestly, I'll say this: I don't blame you. I don't blame Twitter, because the way things are, it's a bunch of bullshit, and I hate the way that pretty much women are treated, like especially black women. And it goes to this now. I have a few homeboys that will treat me better than anybody that is dating them, and not to be literal. This lady is literally sucking and fucking you, but you treat me better.
I saw a tweet about that.
Yeah, you treat
niggas
me-
treat they niggas better than they treat their girls.
And honestly, I can't blame black women for either dating
I can
women
say- I would say the
or dating
exact
outside
opposite.
their race.
Really?
Yeah, no, I get so mad at my homegirls because
They will dog.
they
you
will
for a man.
choose.
But it's
They will
different.
choose.
But no, it's different
For
for
men.
But listen to us.
Yo,
Listen
man,
to us.
Yo, my niggas tell me pull up, I'm pulling up.
Literally. I know you're not bothered.
With bottles and everything.
brother.
Girl, I be like-
No.
my girl
But
be
at the end of the day-
it
Oh
be- I
my
think about
gosh,
it,
like,
bro.
no.
It's
Wait,
crazy.
say what you were gonna say.
The exact opposite of what he said. If I tell my girls to pull up, well, nah, because now I'm older, so now I've I try not to generalize. Like, I got my girls that show up, but I definitely have friends who I'm close to. I tell them to pull up, they might be there 2 hours late, 3 hours late. They might have a bottle, it might be half gone. They might need to do this, they might need to do that. Like, let they little dick appointment call, they out. You know, like.
But listen,
Yeah,
though,
that's a
listen.
compromising situation.
No, but listen, it's two sides to that same spectrum. So the girl was doing all that for the guy, but what the fuck did the guy do all of that before he decided? Literally, my cousin posted this in his close friends. My homeboy called 10 bitches before he decided to go home to his girl.
I seen that.
That's wild.
You probably got the same
that's
brain.
wild. No,
I seen
probably.
somebody say the same.
Y'all
No.
just talk about where y'all from. So maybe.
I'm a part
Right,
of a
and
separate
pause, and if
discourse
it- and it-
community.
Maybe.
I'm a part of a separate discourse community. I don't know behind with the
I
things in
told
Baltimore.
y'all last episode Baltimore, Maryland. You already know. So.
No,
There's
but
the plug.
honestly though, but like I said, I don't think it's fair. I've seen the treatment of it, and honestly, I don't blame them.
But I love
If that's
that. I
what-
love that you have that.
Wait, you also
mentality.
said something about you don't blame women for dating women because
dating women and dating outside of their race, because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, black men ain't shit. And how long are we gonna let this go on? But I also, not saying I do blame women, but I also see
I'm looking
this.
at you like that because
no.
I'm like dumbfounded that you said that. But
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, why are you
Because I would say
dumbfounded?
this,
well, it's just not very common to hear black men being like black men ain't shit.
Really?
But
Because
I'll say-
my
I feel like most black men are defend black men.
I don't know. I think on a personal level, for me,
That
I
was
agree on a grand scheme. But in my own personal circle, like my niggas definitely will be like, "Don't fuck with that nigga." Like they're very transparent. If they care about you, they'll tell you.
That
But I also grew up in a single parent household, and I feel like I have 3 mothers. I grew up with my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, and I
so you
see-
had matriarchs.
and literally
everywhere.
So now that I have, I guess, my uncle, my aunt would do stuff to my little cousin, right? So my little cousin got her hair done, and my aunt literally told my little cousin, "Go walk in front of your father and flash your hair. And flaunt your hair, until he notices that you got your hair done." So like that level of attunement, I was raised upon
You were
that.
definitely into
That's a good
So
word. I never heard that.
attunement.
Good word.
Is that right?
yeah,
What
attunement.
does that even
I think
mean?
that is a word.
Yeah, it is.
Attunement.
I work at an OMAC, outpatient dog clinic. I know.
Yo, you just good for the plug. Good for the plug.
But honestly, though, that level of attunement, it just shows that it's not there. And I feel like I'm an anomaly sometimes. And I feel like the way I treat people, like I said, I was in survival mode, but I've always tried to maintain a level of genuineness. So,
So wait, I have
for
a
those
question
who
for
you
you.
care.
yes.
Yes.
So I have a question because a lot, like we were talking about family dynamics, like a lot of black men have been raised in single mother households. So do you
Okay.
feel like you are an anomaly in the sense that like you just had particular types of women around you that gave you
True.
insight into womanhood
I would say this, yes.
and how to treat women? Because a lot of black men are raised by single mothers.
And I would say this, and this is what helped me, I think, that differentiates me. So yes, we knew my father was an absentee dad. My mom didn't put enough energy in even disrespecting him. It was pretty much like, yeah, your father ain't shit, but you can formalize your own opinion as you grow up and you understand. I think that
Which
a
is
lot of-
similar to what you were
I
taught
think
to.
a lot of men get the niggas ain't shit, this and that and that. So you aren't promoting a healthy dad. You aren't promoting that, okay, because this happened, as a result, I need you to do differently.
Yeah, that'd be more fun.
And so therefore, niggas ain't shit. So if society expects me not to be shit, fuck, I'm gonna be shit for. Not only that, as an African American dad, you are literally suppressed racism, and pretty much society wants you dead before you're 18. So pretty much my life expectancy is 18. Niggas ain't shit. Pretty much, what is it? What is it called when you go back to school? Recidivism. I'm gonna get locked up and go to jail, and then I'm gonna go back in the cycle. So I'm gonna be repeated in the cycle. So pretty much, what the fuck do I have to look forward to a living? So I might as well just treat you like shit.
Exactly.
I might not have morals or values because pretty much I ain't shit.
And that's why what you were saying earlier, what they were saying on Twitter about how they've like given up on black men and they're just out. That is the piece of it that's like,
And that's why I said I don't blame you.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You should, because if you can come to those conclusions.
But I feel like I'm.
But women face very similar.
with that.
There's nothing that he said that a woman couldn't also experience. Black women are neglecting their communities. They go to jail too.
100%. But so what I'm saying is,
I ain't thinking that. It's not funny.
No, because what you're saying is very valid. What I'm saying is that now that this information is clearly accessible to everyone, I think that there should be more of an inclination for us as a community to uplift one another as opposed to let's just divert to someone
black
else.
Women
No,
do
you're right.
uplift. They do uplift. Black
They do it
men.
too much. It's a
They,
short.
they
it's the
do,
short
but
of
they
what comes
also
back.
they also don't. I feel like black women can also be
Negative.
hard on black men too, while having the same context. If that makes sense, like
Just
they're
do that
hard on
experiences.
black men, even though they have the context as to why black
That's
men
why
are the way they are.
The way they are. Yeah.
But my thing is, if you're constantly suppressed, can you really be optimistic? Because honestly, I hate to say
Cricket in the wall.
no, but
I mean,
honestly,
that's what the black community is.
It
Some of us
is.
are, and some of us aren't. It's
Because
really individual. Like,
this is gonna be controversial. I went to a HBCU and I had to pretty much transfer because I felt as if, how do we oppress being suppressed? Because what we are constantly focusing on, pretty much the black community and pretty much what was done, the wrongs of, how do we empower? Okay, this was done to us, and I'm not saying that we need to let it pass. The egregious act, absolutely not. We need to pretty much let it know. But how do we move forward from this? Because the society in which we live in, we have to interact with all walks of life to be successful. Yes, I can be successful within just the black community, but however, why just limit myself to that when I can pretty much be successful with all talents?
Yeah, but I guess it's like,
But we pretty much stopped on pretty much the white man did this to us and this and that and that.
well, because those are also facts.
No, agree, but how do I get past it?
Because
Because it's not saying-
but it's
Now
not
we're in a
stopping.
Kanye West situation.
But no, it's not. It
no,
hasn't
I am not.
stopped.
I am not saying let it go. I'm not saying we need to. No.
in
What
order
I'm
to
saying is how
even
do I
move
forward?
past it, you have to know where you're trying to go. What is the move forward that you're looking for? Are you trying to start your business? Are you trying to start a family? Like, you have to know what it is that you're trying to get to before I can even figure
But it also
out.
you
Okay,
can't
the
move
same
past
way-
something that hasn't stopped.
Right.
It's like you're running at a moving target. Like the white
so
oppression
say-
that we're
okay.
feeling is never going to end.
Okay,
so it's like
say if I had kids today or tomorrow, I don't want my kids growing up hating white people because of what happened. Because I hate to say it, there are a lot of Karens who taught me a lot of things that.
oh, not Karen.
Okay, there are a lot of people from different cultures and different races and different backgrounds that have taught me more things than my own black community. So my thing is, no, professionalism, things of that sort, how not to come off with in emails without a tone
See,
associated
that's
with
the,
it.
that's the problem, though.
No, but like that was professional coaching and development.
But
In
In the black community,
yeah,
but listen,
but-
but
I didn't get
look,
that
you
from
saying
white
you
people.
I did
saying
not get. Yeah, I didn't get that from
you're
white
saying,
people
you're
either.
saying, you're saying that's the problem, but in the same problem, they will also say black businesses are late, tardy, unprofessional, this and that. In a
That don't got
sense,
nothing to do with me and you, though.
But that's
No, I
not
got
all
you.
black businesses, and there are many white businesses that
That are the
also
same
that
way.
are
True.
the same.
Correct.
White businesses that are blatantly racist.
Operating the
Yeah.
same way.
Vince, what is it? Vince's Crab House or
That's what I'm
whatever.
saying.
No,
Yeah,
but
I
I
would
will say, as far as the professionalism, I have kind of learned a lot from my white counterparts. And don't get me wrong for saying that, but that is what I learned.
But the way we move past that is by creating more resources where there are black people who can teach you the same thing because
Right.
they exist.
True.
Exactly, because white people didn't teach
But look
me
at how you said
professionalism.
education was promoted
No.
in your household. What if it's not promoted in the next? So how do you teach that?
Resources, that's what she said.
But like how? Okay, so just because resources are there, how do you get people to actually understand? Yes, this is here, and you need to actually taken.
So I
Do you get what I'm saying though?
I get what you're saying.
Because resources could be pretty much prevalent. It could be okay. Just
But
like
then
how
I think
they
that's
always
when
say
it comes
scholarship
back down
money, nobody ever takes
to.
it.
But that comes back down to I think the point that Sydney was making is like you're making it more of an individual thing. Like
True.
that's on the
Yeah.
individual's like fortitude to want the information. But like we're
But
talking
it
about a
happens to
situation where
be-
the information's not even accessible for us
True.
to even see if provided they had the correct resources how they would maneuver.
And the thing is, those same resources that we say is accessible aren't even making themselves accessible. It's like it's one of those if you know type of things,
Yeah.
Elitism.
In some
which
ways,
also
yeah.
makes it worse.
Yeah.
But I also back to what you were saying too. Like as far as my kids hanging around and knowing white people and not like I don't want my kids to grow up with this mindset of like white people are terrible. I don't.
I don't want my kids to hate anybody. I don't want them to hate
But
anything.
I think like
I don't want
that-
my kids
feel
to
like-
hate white people, but
think
I want them
that's-
to know who white people are.
But I
Be
want.
conscious of.
I think at the time that we're in right now, and I think a lot of kids are going through this where they don't really understand fully what's really going on, and it's more of a like black versus white thing, and
Which is disgusting. I
and-
mean,
and
it is what it is, but like,
I
nobody
don't
should
even
live
know
like
if that's
that.
what it is, but I think that's what the kids are gonna think. And with me working with kids, I know it's up to people like me to be able to have those conversations with those kids because who knows what the world's gonna look like in 15 years when these kids are our age now.
And then what they then
Yeah,
teach.
'cause,
Yeah.
you know, and even with them, like we've really experienced it. Even now, white people are way more conscious about what they do.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And
Even down to what is it? I saw on YouTube. I was looking at like natural hair, how to make my hair curly and things like that. No, there was a white lady doing units, literally, and it was like different like haircuts. And apparently, she's known in the black community for doing like, you know what I'm talking
It's the
about?
Australian lady.
I think so.
Yeah.
So like, look how she's able to know. But like,
Yeah, I
this
know.
literally, so pretty much she grew a fan base. So it's like, I hope and I pray that there can be some united front. Because like, yo, I'm getting tired. Like I can only imagine what like our ancestors did and things like that. But I'm getting tired of this shit. Like it
So
needs to change.
wait. So circling back to dating, like, would you consider?
No.
Wait,
So
what?
I know.
Wait, hold on.
Because
What
that's-
was the question?
Right.
No, because I was gonna say, like, when it coming back to dating, like the interracial thing, like you're saying, like you don't want your kids to hate anybody, et cetera, et cetera. So, are you open to dating outside your race? So why not? Because that's
just
kind of
back-
countering what you were
It
just
is,
saying.
but
I
that
wouldn't say
is
counter.
that
I
is
don't think
on
so.
my.
I mean,
I can love you, but I know where I come from, and I know that's what I want to continue.
or is it
Yeah.
a
My
preference
legacy.
thing? Like, I
it's
mean,
it's a preference, and I want to continue the legacy. Just off the simple fact that, like you said, you grew up in a Huxtable's lifehold. I grew up in, damn, as soon as they get a level of success, he gonna marry a white woman. So maybe I may be brainwashed, and that's a problem. However, I want to counter that. I may be successful, but I don't want someone white or a different counterpart to show me. I don't want someone exotic. I want somebody that I can relate to. I
Yeah.
want a
you
skin.
can't relate to somebody that's exotic.
Honestly, no. 'Cause I feel like I'm a
Yeah,
simple-
like, I don't- that's
Honestly,
the thing. Okay.
in retrospect, not to downplay myself, I feel like I'm a regular Baltimore nigga.
Okay, I get that too.
I got the get money gut. Like I'm a Baltimore nigga. What you mean?
he understands what you mean.
What about the oppression that like they go through as well? Like
It's
not
not-
being
It's not the
black.
same.
I'm just,
It's a
I'm- that's why-
privilege.
so I
Honestly, it's a privilege.
I get that, but like let's just think about Hispanics, right? Like,
No.
what do you mean?
Okay, but Hispanic
Yeah,
is a very large.
So okay, it's weird, right? I have
Spectrum.
enough.
It is.
I have enough compassion.
Because there's
and
white
empathy.
Hispanics and there's black
I have enough
Hispanics.
compassion and empathy. Can I understand that it's a hardship and we may face it, but at the same time, I know what's relatable to me and I know what I resonate
So you want to
with.
be with like, and I'm kind of like pushing.
Maybe
on
it's a
this.
trauma bond. Yup. Call me out.
Yo, he said,
I
I'm
own it.
traumatized.
It's literally that. Like, and like, why? Is
But
it
not
like
even.
that?
Why does it? But why
It's
does it
not
have to
that
be a
at
trauma
all.
bond? Like for me, it's like I'll
So
engage.
I'm asking if that's what it is. Like,
No, because
Okay,
no,
so
it's
do
not
you
even about
remember-
trauma
do you
for me.
remember
It's about the
early-
fact that, like, in the real world, when I step outside of my house, I'm forced certain interactions. So in the safe space of my home, I want to be around someone who has the best
I feel
likelihood
like
of being able to
all the
understand
other
me, and I want to
races-
instill that in my
Society.
kids.
All the other races and religions make it a strong point to marry within their culture. And I don't think
Yes,
I've ever
thank
heard
you.
anybody ask them if it's a trauma bond.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's-
so
it's a
I
part of
did
their
a
culture, it's
paper on this
respected.
in my African American diaspora class. If you go to any school or any culture that's diverse, the African American culture, the African American table is the most accepting and the most diverse table. They will accept any culture into that table. And my thing is, we are so accepting that we tend to lose values. Literally, we tend to lose who we are because we accepting and compassionate. No, fuck that shit. I want what I want. If you decided you wanted to wear your natural hair and we decided to use Miss Jackie's products and we did that together to figure out what our curl and cold pattern is, that is something I can relate to. That is something that I would fucking love if we did our hair together. If you did your hair and you are fucking 2B and I'm fucking 4C, fuck you. I can't because at the end of the day, you got an advantage. You literally have an advantage.
It's
not an advantage. It's just different. It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
You have a difference, and I feel as if I have to do more to mine after where my hair is low porosity and yours isn't. I cannot relate to you.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
gonna need you to be right. He future, but he educated.
Right. No, I'm sorry. I'm just having moments with you because I'm blown away. The low porosity, the verbiage.
Because I will say,
very advanced.
Yes, thank you. My vernacular, I try.
Okay, so because we are about to wrap it up.
Did your parents ever say, "Don't bring no white person home"?
If she can't use my comb, don't bring her home. That's what my mom said.
Did your
But
parents ever say that to you? About like another race coming home?
They expressed that they
My mom said
prefer
that.
me bring someone black. My first boyfriend
That
was like
was-
Filipino, so they really.
my
That
first
was never
boyfriend was
expressed to
white.
me.
My mom still to this day.
So my
punishes
goal,
for it.
my goal in life is
Okay, hold
not
on.
something
Socrates,
about-
you about to wrap it up. I already see you about to give us another speech. We don't got time for that because we got to shout out our space. The camp
Got you.
space in Hyattsville. Thank you for allowing us to shoot here, owned by
Thank
two
you.
phenomenal black women. We got our vodka that we've been sipping on, a local DC brand. Check them out. They're in a couple liquor stores in DC. Black Leaf Vodka.
It's good.
We got some Ricardo
I
Deshawn
approve.
on. What are you wearing?
So this is my boy G. His name was Veggies. He has a brand called Poor Rich. It's like Poor Rich.
Oh, okay.
You know, check him out on IG. He just dropped some new stuff. So this is my guy. We've been riding for like 12, 13 years. So it's great to see the progress. I had to show out one time.
And then Victoria, what you got on?
I have on Monte Cristo. It is a like athletic apparel brand. I literally just found them and their stuff is cute. So
Great,
check
great,
them out.
great. Well, I appreciate you guys for sitting with me. I appreciate you guys for talking with me. I feel like we have some level of understanding. I feel like we had some great conversation. Thank you, Future, for showing up for us. Follow us on Instagram, kr.thekitchen, and stay tuned for the next episode.